Today, we are building a waterfall kelp farm. It's pretty much just a kelp farm with a different kind of collection system rather than you just throwing it in a box and that's it. It kind of gives it a different visual effect, which is quite pleasing. I've also just started a series for it, so if you guys wanted to follow along, please be sure to hit that like and subscribe button to get all the updates and when the next video comes out. So I set up a very basic kelp farm here where it just grows and I just go down there and just break it all. But that's too much work. So we need to make things simpler, and to do that we are going to go in this castle and we're going to use this wall right here to build our farm. Now I have a bunch of materials here and things that we're going to use. These are not exact numbers. You can expand this, you can build it however you'd like. This is just to give you guys a general overview of how essentially it works. But with that being said, I'm going to clear out this area real quick so we can have kind of like a clean slate to build with, and you guys can see the space we're working with. Alright, so we essentially cleared out all this area here. So I did a big space just because I want to do a 5 wide area, so it's going to be 5 little stalks here that grow up, and then we're going to break it with pistons and observers. So there's going to be 3 stages to this. Stage 1 is going to be the basic kelp farm, where it's going to grow, we break it with pistons with an observer, and then we have a basic collection system. The second part is going to be our little waterfall feature, to give it more of an aesthetic kind of feel, so it just looks prettier. And the last step is a bonus feature where we're going to use Bonemeal to essentially fast track the growth, and then just have a constant kelp farm. So depending on how complex you want your kelp farm to be, you can stop at stage 1, 2, or even 3. So to get this party started, this is where we're going to put our kelp. So I'm going to use sandstone, not sand, because sandstone will stay in its place. And once we dig underneath it, the sand won't fall and destroy the kelp, if you need to make adjustments or any edits later. We're going to want to place a wall here. We're going to grab our pistons and we're going to place them just like this. So now when we place the kelp here, it'll grow and then it won't break the base. It'll just break from this level and up. We can now fill in all of this area with blocks. Now once you've built your wall as high as you want, I think it goes up from 24 to 26 blocks of growth. For my purpose, we only need it to be this short. I mean, we really don't need anything crazy tall. I just want it to fit this wall. So I'm going to go around the back. I put a block there by accident. And then I'm going to place my observers facing outward. So now that we got the front like this, observers up top, pistons below, we're going to do a little bit of the redstone in the back. So we're going to put blocks right behind it. We're going to make one more row underneath. And with that row, we're going to use our redstone and we're going to place a line right behind it. So once you added your redstone line right up top, we can add 2 here and then start snaking a little path down just like this. And the reason I put 2 is just so I can put a repeater here and extend the signal so make sure it goes all the way down. We're going to place blocks right behind them and then finish the chain just like this. So now, if I was to place a block in front of this observer, all the pistons move. And it's quite nice. So now, if one gets caught, let's say one of them grows up to reach this, it'll break all of them, they'll all fall down and get collected by the hoppers. So not too much redstone. For my case, I don't really want to extend this wall too much because I just like this giant castle kind of look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some trapdoors to kind of like hide it. So, for example, I'll place these guys here and then place them below. Oh, break this one. So, now when I close these, you don't really have that look of like, oh, what's this over here? It's got this little board. And if I ever need to make repairs, I can always come back here and fix it. So I've already added all the water, but what you want to do is create an infinite source block. It is the easiest way to go about this. And pick up 1 and then place it. Pick up 2. Place it. Pick up 3, place it. And you're going to do that for every block going all the way up. And you should have technically a giant wall of water just like this. But once you get all the water set up, we are going to go to the top of this. So I'm all the way up and we're going to start placing our glass. So I'm going to place a starter block here, right at the top row with the observer, and place glass going all the way along, just so I have row 1 all set up. So from here, now, if I hop up here real quick, I can start setting the rows, but I'm not going to do the last row with glass. So for the last row, I'm going to use trapdoors. Now you don't have to do this part, you can use glass, just fill it up if you want just a basic waterfall kelp farm. But if you want to do the last step where we do the bone meal to fast pace the growth, you're probably going to want to use this so you can then fill the dispensers that are going to be here with bone meal when they run out. If not, then just use glass. I just think this looks kind of cool as well. It's quite pretty, honestly. I almost forgot to mention, be sure to place your kelp before you place that last pane of glass. If not, then you're definitely going to want to use the trapdoors here. So now that we got the kelp in there, we got the trapdoors, the glass, water, pistons, and everything else, all the redstone, it's essentially functioning, and that's just the basic setup. If you wanted to stop here, all the kelp would break once it reaches that observer, and it'd all float to the top and just sit there, so you can just go walk and pick it up. But for step 2, we're adding aesthetics. Now for this part, it's essentially just the waterfall. So we're gonna have the water flow over, it's gonna fall down into a collection system and put it all into a chest. If I pop this guy out here, right here, we want it to go right here. So we'll be making a collection system here and then the waterfall. So what we're gonna do up here is we're gonna build a little space here just to cover, because we're gonna put water right here that's gonna flow right over. So we need to be sure this is covered and we won't have any spill issues later. So now what we want to do is we're going to place stone just like this. We're going to block those observers because... Oh, I guess we had some kelp growing. But the reason we want to do that is because we want to have the water flow over and down. So we're going to place it, and as you can see, it'll go right over. That's exactly what we want. You'll definitely have to do this for each row here. So if you have more than one bucket, by all means, please use that because you're a lot smarter than me. And with the last one set up, we can break these blocks now, just like this. We'll have to grab some more water and then, again, place it in front of these observers. And just to clarify, we're doing this again because we just put stone here and it got rid of the source blocks. So if we don't, the items will just stop right here in front of the observers and they won't go into this stream that we just set up. And there goes the last water there. Okay, so now that we have the water placed here, it's flowing over. We fixed our source block issue in front of the observers. So this is kind of the fun part because you can kind of design this however you'd like, but the essential way it works is going to be the same no matter what. So we're going to place blocks like this straight across. This is just a design purpose. It obviously will not stop items that come up and go flinging over. This is just the first beam for me. Now the part that should stop it are these staircases, if I can place them correctly. We're going to place them just like this, because now when the items flow over, they should come up and then hit this. Now you will be asking, whoa, those items will come flying up and they will just go right over this. Well, we are going to place trapdoors just on this one part here. So once you have your trapdoors placed, you have your blocker here. It could be stairs, it could be a glass again, it could be whatever you'd like. We're going to place signs right on this side so it stops all the water from actually falling down. So the purpose of this is when the kelp grows up to the observer, the pistons will break it, the items will flow up because of the source blocks, hit this trap door, flow right over this path, and then just drop down. Now I'm going to do a little more decorating to the sides here just to make things look a little cleaner. And I'm going to add one more set of blocks under here because sometimes the items will fly over and they go just low enough they'll come flying off this way and land on the second block here. Because we want them to land exactly here so our hoppers could pick it up. Alright, and essentially that's the look I'm going for. So this little fence post here, anything that comes over this a little slow or the too fast ones will hit the wall there and fall down, but the ones that come over just low enough will hit this fence post as well and fall directly down. Essentially the world's your creation in this one, but there is one other step to this, which is the collection system. So I'm going to clear this out real quick. I'm just going to dig out some dirt. You don't need to dig out the whole area. You'll see it's only a little bit, but I'm just doing this to be sure you guys can see exactly how everything's placed. I'm also digging down 2 blocks just so we have a little space to work with and for part 3 when we do the bone meal work. So step 1 to this, I always like to start with the chest first. So we're going to want to place our droppers. I'm going to use just a temporary block here because we're going to want to place 1, 2, 3. Now, if you have a taller setup, you could just keep going up with this. You can go up, I guess 90 blocks if you have the blocks to do it. But for my case, I only need 3. We're going to want to feed a hopper into the bottom and then just follow along into this row here, just like so, and then just go across the top. Now this top row should be in level with your, whatever the main ground is, so in my case it's the dirt, like just the walk-in entrance. And essentially now the items will fall over, they'll fall into any of these hoppers and go right into this dropper, which is exactly what we want. And that's pretty much just 50% of the way there. The last step is to get these items to travel up the dropper into that chest, so it's pretty seamless. So to do that, I want to be a little bit of a neat freak here. I always do this when I do redstone. I place blocks that I know that I place, so for in my case it's a diorite. So if I'm digging around and I see, oh, there's diorite, I'll know not to break it because I have redstone on it, but that's just me. So you don't have to do that. But what you do want to do is place a block in front of this hopper that's feeding into the dropper. We're going to place one block. We're going to put a comparator so it can look for items that are passing through. So if one goes through, this lights up. It'll turn this block, it'll power it on, which then will turn this redstone on, which also then powers this block. And then we'll put a repeater to boost the signal into this redstone. And then it just kind of keeps circling around every time an item passes through. Now, the last step is to place an item here, which is going to be the observer. So we're going to want to, I'm going to break this for now, just so, actually I might break this one too, just to place the observer, and then I'll put the items back, just like that. So with this setup here, I'm going to drop an item in here, just like that. And I think it already went up. Yep, there it is. It's in this top dropper here. And now you'd be wondering, why didn't it make it to the chest? And the reason is because I didn't send any power to this one or this one to push it all the way up. So to get that to function, we're going to want to use a couple more observers. So the first one will want to face it the same direction as the one below. And then we're going to want to put one facing downward. So what this is going to do is when this goes around, it's going to send a signal to this, which powers that bottom dropper. And then this one reads it, and then this one sees this one turns on, turning this dropper on, pushing into this, into that, which is quite great. So now if we go to test this, if we put a redstone in here, actually I think, did it go through? It did go through, okay. So let me drop one in here. Goes through silently, which is awesome. And it's already in the chest. So now I want to drop all 44 in here so you guys can see it. And if we look here, going through absolutely seamlessly, quietly, and could not be happier. This is exactly what we want to be seeing. We're almost done. But yeah, you'll see that the signal goes through and it kind of just keeps doing this little loop until the last item goes through and then it shuts off. And if we look in here, all 44 items have made it through successfully. I'm going to finish cleaning this up real quick just to make sure things look a little pretty. And I'm going to place some dirt back here, just like this. Yeah, why not put it there? I'm gonna hate putting a block there for now, but I'll probably break it later. But essentially, you want to now cover these hoppers so it's not as obvious because that just looks kind of gross. I like to use carpet, so I'll place it on top just like that, and it looks pretty good. I just put a ladder here for now, but essentially this is what it looks like. You got your kelp growing, it goes up, it'll break here, fall onto our hoppers, and then be put inside here. We're gonna make this grow, and we have one more. Here we go, ready? Boop. It breaks, and then it starts raining. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to see. So we'll close that, and we'll look in here, and all of our kelp is almost instantly there. Instantly. It is so beautiful. Alright, so this might be the part where some people look away, but this is part 3, where we're going to set up behind here, right behind these guys, that stone there, is going to become some dispensers full with bone meal to make these guys grow up all the way to the top, and then it just keeps cycling through on a redstone clock. So this one's actually a pretty basic setup as well. We shouldn't have anything that's too worrisome, but we're going to want to open up the back here, right behind these guys. So this is essentially the block that I want my dispensers to be. So I'm going to break these and the water is going to flow onto me, which is okay for now. So now that we have our dispensers placed, we are now underneath. We got to fix that redstone after, but we're going to focus on this for now. We want to place our diorite, not right there. We want to place it right underneath the dispensers, directly beneath. and then one more underneath here with a space in between so we can place our redstone torches. From there, we're going to place our repeaters facing right into it with a redstone strip behind it, connecting them all. And up top, we're going to want to place a lever somewhere. I'm going to place it like right here, I think, directly here. So I'm actually going to have to break this ladder for a second, but it's this block right here. So now if I put some dye right here underneath, we can have a little redstone trail, and we're going to set up a little small hopper clock just so we can get this triggering nonstop so it dispenses bone meal. Now these are extremely easy to set up. It's actually kind of one of my favorites, but you're going to have one facing this way and then one facing back into it. So essentially what you'll have is an item passing between each other constantly. Then what you want to do is place a comparator on this end so you can see it's reading every time an item passes in. And then you'll want to put a repeater after to extend the signal. The signal is not strong enough to reach all 5, as you'll see like this. It barely even makes it out. So you'll want to put this here and then put one more here, and it'll start triggering it constantly, as you can hear, which is exactly what we want. And then the last step is to, I guess, shut off the signal. So we'll go up here and then we can flip this lever and it stops it. So essentially what this does is it just halts, it freezes this hopper from passing the item back and forth, and it shuts off the clock. So now if we want to turn it on, we just have to flip the lever, right back on it goes. Now you could set up a much faster clock. This for me seems to be a pretty decent clock. I mean, it's resource friendly and yeah, it's just a lot easier. And essentially this is what the bottom looks like. It's not too much, it's quite small, but the setup is pretty simple. For demonstration purposes, I only filled this one and this one with bone meal. I think of like 18, and the kelp is in there. So the others won't grow because I just don't have a lot of bone meal in this mod pack. But essentially what we want to do is we're going to turn this on and just see it all function with the bone meal, it grow, have the waterfall process, and yeah. So we'll turn it on. It starts growing, which is absolutely awesome. It breaks and starts raining. So that's the part where I meant where like it falls out a little bit. So if you put like this to be solid blocks, this won't happen. I thought the little fence here would stop it, but sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. If you put stairs or something, it'll definitely stop it. So, but that's essentially the idea behind it all. A kelp farm waterfall. And it seems like we got 58 kelp too, so it actually works quite well. We can make a couple fuel blocks from that. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I am doing this all in the Vault Hunter mod pack, but you can build this in any Minecraft world, any other Minecraft mod pack, anywhere you are. This is a very simple, basic redstone build. But if you do want to see the rest of the farms that are made in here, please hit that notification button so you can see the rest of the series, because we still have quite a few farms to go. I literally am going to build a ton of farms inside this building and have a huge collection system all behind me. But that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other suggestions on what you want to see next, please do let me know. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. See ya.